Hey, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. We're starting with a bit of different news today, but I think good news. And normally I don't wish for anyone to lose their job, but there's some people that deserve to, frankly. Joy Reid is one of them, and Joy Reid has been canceled. The Reid out is out. Adios, sayonara, see you later. Finally, MSNBC has made up their mind to get rid of their primetime racist. And Joy Reid, I couldn't help but to think, and whataboutism is a real thing, whether you like it or not. I couldn't help but to think, man, if there was a white person that said all of the things that she said, everything was viewed through the prism of race on Joy Reid's show. And you can't help but to think, man, if a white person said this about a black person or Latino or Asian, they would be off air so fast it would be unbelievable. But because she's black, because she was a female and a Democrat, she was allowed to get away with it for such a long period of time. So MSNBC has finally canceled her program. And frankly, what's sad is I don't believe it has anything to do with her racism. It has everything to do with ratings, and it wasn't working. Her shtick wasn't actually, I don't think it was a shtick on her part, but it wasn't working anymore. Just the other night, I seriously thought, I believe this was Friday night. I just watched a brief clip of her program, and she had some panelists on, and one guy chimed in online video, whatever it may have been, Zoom, Skype, I'm not sure. But either way, he was online, and then he was an Indian guy. And basically, after Kash Patel had been confirmed as our FBI director, the new head of FBI, the man said, again, of Indian heritage, he said, Joy, just like you guys have your Byron Donalds, insinuating that Byron Donalds is a sellout. We have our Kash Patels. And she just looks at the camera, good point. And I'm like, man, this lady is absolutely disgusting. She is a disgrace to journalism. She is a disgrace even to MSNBC, if there is such a thing, or she should be a disgrace. That lady does not belong on television. I've never seen such blatant racism on television outside of stuff that we saw in old black and white documentaries when we were learning about the Civil Rights Act and so on, etc. I want to give you a bit of reminders, and then I'm going to tell you what's going on at MSNBC. I'm not, listen, if their goal is to catch up with Fox, which it is, to shake things up and to better their ratings, I don't think they made the right moves to do that, but I will inform you of the moves that they did make and who will be replacing Joy Reid in her time slot. But first, let's just take a trip down memory lane, and let me give you some reminders of who Joy Reid really is. Let's play video clip number 4, please, Gabe.
Begin our final sprint, having arrived at that point in the election season where basically we on this side of the TV screen have said all we can. We've laid out the stakes in this crucial election where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy, but also white-ruled South Africa before Mandela and the black majority took control, or Vladimir Putin's Russia, Viktor Orban's Hungary, or Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela today, that suppresses the rights of women and minorities, uses the military to execute the whims of a strongman dictator, and controls and suppresses the press, education, the arts, rewrites history to suit a favored and dominant racial class, and foments extravagant corruption in order to enrich the dictator and his friends.
You get it? Trump is Hitler. Trump that has a daughter that has a son-in-law that's Jewish, a daughter that is converted to Judaism, grandchildren that are Jewish. Trump is Hitler. Trump that has come in after the Biden administration would do absolutely nothing to end the war or really do anything to try to help Israel in the fight against Hamas and actually fund it around. But Trump is Hitler. Trump comes in and says, "Listen, I think these hostages need to be released, or you need to kill all of Hamas." He's Hitler. Trump that's cracking down on anti-Semitism, he's Hitler. You get it? That's the shtick. Let's play another video clip of the lovely Joy Reid that is now out. Reid out is out. And by the way, I mean, it doesn't even sound like they're going to be putting her on any other program. Perhaps they will, perhaps they won't. I don't know. But from what I've read thus far, I've not seen that. And I would dare to say she would probably be too arrogant to accept anything else. But just one more reminder of who Joy Reid is. Let's go to video clip number 5. I believe this was election night, as usual, seeing things through the prism of race, incapable of looking at things through the eyes of a journalist, through political analyses. Here's clip number 5, please, Gabe.
See the numbers that Joe Biden had in the suburbs. And I think we have to be blunt about why. Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. That is what it appears happened in that state, is that if you can't flip enough white women, and we've talked about this on this set numerous times, but it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy.
I mean, this stuff is so disgusting. People, listen, here's the bottom line. People are absolutely fed up with the race baiting, with the fear mongering. Trump is a Nazi. Trump is a sexist. Oh, I'll get into that shortly. Trump is a sexist. All of these things. It didn't play out. Listen, Joy Reid started off I think she had a morning show that she did starting in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, AM Joy is what it was called. And then a man by the name of Caesar Conde, he was the chairman of NBC Universal News Group. That encompassed NBC News, MSNBC, CNBC. He saw it fit to basically promote her. So he wanted to put her on prime time. And this was during the George Floyd riots and all of the BLM rioting that was happening across the country. And he saw fit to give Joy Reid a promotion. He wanted that racist in prime time. And so there she sat for 5 years. And her only job was to make sure that Trump and Trump supporters were portrayed as racist. And then you had COVID. You had the COVID lockdowns, I should say. But actually, when COVID first hit, you had the Democrat Party with all of the election rigging and engineering took advantage of the COVID situation and basically won the elections through election rigging, if you will, quote unquote. And so it was a different time. And I believe that the left thought, OK, we were able to defeat the election system, because I believe that's what they did. We were able to rig the elections against Donald Trump in 2020. And I believe they conflated their cheating and election rigging, if you will, with the power of Joy Reid and this racism and playing the race card at every single angle. Every time Trump did something, every time Trump says something, racist. And it simply did not work in 2024. More black men voted for Trump. Frankly, more black women voted for Trump. I mean, the numbers weren't huge, but they were enough to shock Democrats. Latinos voted for Trump overwhelmingly. He won all 7 swing states. He won the Electoral College. He won the popular vote. And the whole idea that calling Trump a racist, calling Trump a Nazi, it's just not working anymore. You see Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, the usual suspects, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, all of these people calling Trump a racist, using the same old tired arguments. And his polls continue to go up because people like what they're seeing, including independents that have been polled and put in focus groups that I talked about earlier on, Arizona swing state focus group, where people are like, we love what we're seeing with Trump. We love how he's going after things. I mean, just hard and fast. The same was true with the pollster Frank Luntz and a poll that he conducted. I mean, so this stuff is tired. This stuff is tired. Racism isn't cool anymore. Racism or race baiting isn't cool anymore. And I'm sorry, Joy Reid doesn't have the moral authority to call anyone racist because of her skin color. She's racist. She's racist. She believes that she's superior to whites and whomever else because of the color of her skin. She believes that she's owed something because of the color of her skin. She was never a slave. She's a rich black woman in the United States of America. She would not hold the positions that she now held in any other country in the world. Who tells us, who has the moral authority to tell us what's right and wrong, what's good and evil, what is a male or a female? Only God can do that. The George Floyd era is over, and so is the Joy Reid era. America is sick and tired and fed up with the race baiters, and finally, MSNBC has come to their senses, at least somewhat, although they haven't done much better. Hey guys, Carl Jackson here for MyPillow, and MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on their overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, you can save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. The queen size is only $59.98 and the kings are only $69.98, but they sell out fast every year. So be sure to order now. You can also save 30% on their brand new Mike crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one that Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's styles, and they're made right here in the good US of A. Get the 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them before they or while they last. And I can't forget to mention the My Pillow. It's just $14.98. So to take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to mypillow.com, use promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263 is the number to call in. But wait, remember that $75, the $75 free shipping rule. So, that ship is sailed because right now, for a limited time, every order ships free. That's right. Every order ships free. MyPillow.com, promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. All right, welcome back to the show. Please subscribe to my podcast wherever you go to get your podcast: Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. If you're on YouTube, please rate and review the podcast. We would certainly appreciate that. We're also on the Salem Podcast Network, obviously. Okay, so getting back to this issue with Joy Reid, guys, listen. I think it's important to put some context to this and some history. But first, I do want to give you some of the news and what's supposed to be happening at or who's replacing Joy Reid at the 7 p.m. hour. A great time slot, by the way. I'm not sure that the show is going to get much better. I think these people are a little more sane anyway than Joy Reid is. But honestly, I don't suspect the ratings are going to get much better. Simone Sanders, it's going to be a show that's going to incorporate a trio of anchors, including Simone Sanders Townsend, also Michael Steele, Alicia Menendez. Now, all of them play the race card. All of them play, Trump is a dictator and all this kind of stuff. They're not as blatant, and they can actually talk policy too. So I think that gives them a slight edge over Joy Reid, who I think was the lady just was not bright, and just a nasty, mean-spirited racist that I could not believe MSNBC kept on TV. I mean, even though it was MSNBC, I just simply could not believe it. Now, Simone Sanders, again, this is a woman who I think MSNBC, they look at her, and I don't believe the ratings are going to get much better, if at all, even with Simone Sanders. But I do believe, well, depending on what guests they bring in, but the ratings aren't going to climb, bigly, as Trump would say. But if you guys recall, Simone Sanders was one of the Democrats that used to work in the Biden administration under Biden. She also worked under Kamala Harris, and she quit under Kamala Harris, and she was one of the people that could not stand working under Kamala Harris. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the ones that came out and said, this lady, she's just not cool to work for it. Now, she ended up supporting her in the end as president because she wanted Democrat policies or communist policies over freedom, over conservatism, under constitutionalism. So in that sense, it's not like she's great in picking her candidates for sure, but she isn't as crazy, I'll put it that way, as Joy Reid. Michael Steele, former RNC chair during the Romney era. And that guy, man, he has just chased the money. There's no doubt about it. No core principles by Michael Steele. I mean, this is a guy that just drops bombs, if you will, on MSNBC as well. The never Trumper, if you will, that's supposedly a Republican, supposedly a conservative. And he is not a conservative. This is a man that's simply chasing dollars at this point in time. But Michael Steele does have a brain on his head. We'll have to see if he uses that. All right. So he's a moderate at times at best. Otherwise, he's a more centrist Democrat, in my opinion. Alicia Menendez, she's not going to do much to bring ratings either. But this is who they're replacing her with. Now, also, there's going to be some changes in the lineup at 9 p.m. Rachel Maddow, as you guys may know, has been asked to stay on board for 5 days, Monday through Friday. All right. So Monday through Friday, Rachel Maddow is on for Trump's first 100 days. And then they were going to bring, who was the gentleman or the woman? I'm sorry. Alex Wagner was Rachel Maddow, was only on Mondays, as you guys know. And then Alex Wagner was on the other 4 days. Alex Wagner was going to come back and do that same schedule beginning in April. That is no longer going to occur. Now you have Rachel Maddow, who's going to return to Mondays. She gets $20-something million a year. And she's only willing to go to work 1 day a week. It's insane. But for Trump's first 100 days, she'll be in Monday through Friday. But they're likely going to give the position, Alex Wagner's position, to Jen Psaki, the former White House press secretary under the Biden administration, who herself is a far leftist. Don't be fooled by Jen Psaki. She is a far leftist, but she knows how to bring it in and speak some common sense. She's been saying, like, listen, some of the old stuff has not been working. Got to be mindful of this. You have James Carville out there saying, guys, what are you doing? You got Stephen A. Smith, a big time Democrat sportscaster for ESPN, warning the Democrat Party Kamala Harris can't win. So I think MSNBC and the new president at MSNBC, they're listening to all this. That's a woman by the name of Rebecca Cutler. And they're saying, guys, okay, all right, we got to make a shift. The problem is they're not making a large enough shift where it's going to make much of a difference. If MSNBC wanted to really get ratings, if they really wanted to chase Fox, they would bring in a conservative. Maybe they would snatch Scott Jennings from CNN, bring him over at MSNBC and give him a primetime show and let him debate liberals. I guarantee you people would watch that. I would watch that, quite frankly. The only time I would tune in to MSNBC. But here's what people instinctively know, and more people grow informed. Platforms like Joy Reid's, I'm thankful that this one is over, but I just don't think that they can sustain anymore. These attacks under calling Trump a racist and calling Trump supporters racist is just simply isn't going to work anymore. People are learning their history. People are tired of it. It's a boy that's cried wolf. A racist woman on TV doesn't have the moral authority or the right to call you a racist. I mean, a racist calling other people racist is just too rich, and it's run its course. Let me share some information with you guys, because it's really important to put this stuff into perspective. I always get a kick off of left-wing blacks like Joy Reid that'll tend to call blacks and other minorities that vote Republican or conservative sellouts, so on, et cetera. It's a true indictment of our government school system inside of the United States of America, because these people simply do not know their own history. I mean, it's sad to me, but when you think about the history of the Republican Party, it is rich it is rich in fighting for civil rights. Years ago, I wrote a column on why we needed to get rid of, in my opinion, the Black History Month. I simply believe that, listen, Black history is American history. There are times where we've got a lot of Black heroes that happen to be American and fit their stories in with other Americans in a timely manner. But also there's a rich history when it comes to the GOP party. And this is why I get a kick off of people like Joy Reid. First off, you may or may not know this, but the first Civil Rights Act was passed in 1866, not 1964. And it was passed by Republicans. This is so important. People don't know this. The Reconstruction era, where you had so many Black Republicans that were congressmen. You had Hiram Rhodes Revelle, that was a senator. Actually, you had a couple of senators. Hiram Rhodes Revelle was the first one, Black senator. This was during the Reconstruction era. And a lot of people simply don't know this. So in 1870, the Republican Congress passed and ratified the 15th Amendment that gave blacks and former slaves the right to vote. But before that, we have the 13th Amendment that freed the slaves, the 14th Amendment that gave freed men citizenship here in the United States. No, that isn't meant for birthright citizenship. That isn't meant for illegals. So that needs to be challenged, and Trump is rightfully challenging that in the court. 1871, the Republican Congress passed the Anti-KKK Act to abolish the Democrats' terrorist arm known as the KKK, or the Ku Klux Klan. All right. In 1957, you had Dwight Eisenhower. His civil rights bill was opposed by the likes of Senators John F. Kennedy at the time, Lyndon B. Johnson. All right. And in Ann Coulter's book, Mugged, she describes how LBJ stripped the 1957 bill of its enforcement provisions when it came to civil rights. But Eisenhower reintroduced that bill. I mean, it's the Republican Party is rich when it comes to civil rights. And then what the left will say is that, well, listen, there was a big switch. There was no big switch. All right, guys, there were 26 Democrats. I'm sorry. 26 senators that they talk about this big switch. Only one switched over to the Republican Party. The rest remained in the Democrat Party. There was never any big switch that came under President Richard Nixon. It's asinine. You had people moving from the north to the south, other places of America to the south that weren't racist. You had people witnessing what happened on television during the civil rights era. Martin Luther King Jr., whatever you might feel about him, did a great job of exposing the rest of America to what was happening in the South, and times were changing. There simply was no big switch. And so now you have a Democrat Party, frankly, that has always been the racist party and continue to be the racist party. They continue to be the racist party. Joy Reid arguing for or promoting big government, keeping people enslaved to the government. This is a lady that claims to be for Black people. Yet, by you working so hard to pay for all the fraud, waste, and abuse and taxes that we've seen with USAID and that we've seen Doge expose, she's calling you to slavery. I mean, think about it. Think about it. This lady is a total fraud. She's a disgusting human being. And frankly, I'm glad she's off the air.